Well, since everybody's ready and it's looking like about 7 o'clock, I'll start the meeting. This is the Nottingham Planning Board meeting for July 27th, 2016. Not off to a good start.
Yeah, we wish. We wish.
So I'd like to just start by going around the table and having members introduce themselves.
Robert Davies, alternate.
Teresa Bascom.
John Warren.
Charlene Anderson.
Edward Veal.
Dirk Rotenheis.
Susan Mooney.
Gary Anderson.
And Paul Colby, Code Administrator.
Welcome. We have a couple of, actually 3 public hearings this evening, and we'll just jump right into them. And I've got case P16010 LLA. It's an application for a lot line adjustment between map 63 lots 67 and 68.
Yeah, I want to repeat myself. Thank you.
Excuse yourself. Have a note that Mr. Moran has recused himself, and I would like to have Mr. Davies, the alternate, replace him in his seat. Thank you, Mr. Moran. Could you describe what the application is? And give
This
us
is
a
my uncle,
description?
James Sirocco.
Hello.
He's the owner of lot 68. I'm here representing my mother, who is the owner of lot 67. So it's basically just a lot line adjustment to give my uncle direct access to the road, and not having a small right-of-way that's actually in the trees. And just basically give him that parcel of land so his land goes from the lake right to the road.
So could you describe maybe the existing lot line and then where it changes?
So on the map, the one you have in front of you,
Yes.
there's the original lot line that comes right up here. And my mother's lot would come up here and do like an L shape. All right? If you come down, every other property down here that goes directly right to the road, he was actually the only lot that was cut off with a 10-foot right-of-way. The right-of-way is actually has 4 or 5 100-foot pine trees in the right-of-way. So instead of taking him down, you know, obviously just giving him this small piece of land right here, now gives him direct access and gives him a larger parcel, so a lot, so to access the property. And for the future, it's nice just to have him not going over my mom's property.
Okay, so currently it would be that the driveway or the parking area there is on the
Lot 67.
Lot 67.
Correct.
And then this adjustment would take that area and incorporate it into lot 68.
Correct.
So I turn to Mr. Colby. Are we accepting this for?
The application is complete, so we recommend that you accept the application. Yep.
So it is complete?
Yep.
And have we previously voted on this to be accepted?
No, this is the first time we've seen it.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we accept the application for case P16-010-LLA as complete.
A second.
So a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, take a vote. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous, 7-0.
Yep.
Okay, so the application has now been accepted. We could take this into an approval phase of this, so I guess I'd say have to open for a public hearing. And I would open that up to any abutters or any other public to come speak for the application, against the application, or anything else to do with the application. You can come forward, identify yourselves at the microphone. Seeing none, moving forward, I would close the public hearing. Sorry.
That's okay, go ahead and close it. Well, I have a question, just where are the existing driveways on this?
So, my mom's access to her house is here. We use this back area here as a parking area. We have access right here. And then there's the access right here that goes to where my uncle goes. So he usually parks his car here or here anyways.
Okay, so he's parking on her property.
He's parking on her property.
I understand.
So I have a question kind of related to that.
I just want to make it clear that
Okay.
we've closed the public hearing, saying there wasn't any, public, so it's in for board discussion, sure. So,
There's a note here, EOTW, that's the edge of the traveled way. That's underneath the legends and the symbols. But then EOD is
Yep.
not noted, and I don't know what that means. Edge of drive, is that what that is, John?
I'm not sure.
that would make the
Pete?
most,
Pete's not
Is that,
here.
because that matches up to where the driveways
Yeah,
are,
it's,
right?
it's edge of drive, so, yeah.
So that's something we could have them just add to the legend.
And there's a circular area too, right smack dab in the middle over to the right-hand side, was kind of like arrow pointed. And that's also edge of traveled way. Is that a circular road?
No, that's where, I mean, that borders the road that goes right by.
Oh, okay,
That's
I got you.
That goes to
White's
the next
Grove Road.
properties over, yeah.
Okay.
The arrows, the arrows that point to the circular area, that's a catch basin, so that must be like a drainage ditch?
No, it's just for more detail. If you're talking about detail A,
Oh, no, I'm sorry,
that circle?
oh, no. I was looking down at the bottom, just above the word White's Grove Road. Above the word White's, there's a catch basin, and then there's some arrows with dotted dash lines.
Oh, that's just for, yeah,
That
it
would
keeps
tip-
the runoff
So
from
that's
going.
like a drainage.
Right, my
That's
mom
a-
owns the next property that it's draining onto,
Yep.
so.
that's a typical symbol for, a drainage swale pattern.
Should we probably have that added to the legend as well, though, right? Since it's,
Well, they're standard symbols, so I mean,
Yeah.
you can only add so much after a while, yeah.
It's really a tiny parcel, it's less than 1/10 of an acre. Yeah, the transfer piece.
Oh, yeah, there, yeah, basically, we're just, just making it so now it's straight, so if anything in
Yeah.
the future happens, there's direct access for his family, our access, there's no.
Encumbrance.
Exactly, it
Yeah.
just cleans everything nice
Yeah.
and easy.
John, so I know there's a note here from Mr. Colby about the setback on the septic area. That's for lot,
That's the new lot.
I'm sorry, for lot 67. And it says as it was discussed at the ZBA, were these the plans that were shown to the ZBA when the variance was granted?
The actual plans for where the septic was when it was originally put in, were at the present board ZBA. So those measurements came from that to make, that's why the line jots back that little bit instead of perfectly straight.
Yep.
Just to make sure that we meet the proper setbacks from where the septic, leach field is.
Yeah, the ZBA file is there, it's listed many times in the applicants, in their discussion of, okay, we recognize that's the best you're gonna be able to do.
Okay, yeah, I saw the minutes of,
Yeah.
it just said it was discussed.
It
To
just
move it
so-
away from the lake, but it
Yeah.
didn't say if they showed where it was gonna be, so that's,
And for the board's awareness, I will ask you to vote on, they have requested one waiver. We support the waiver. The waiver is for one of the pins, as we require on the road frontage, granite bound, it's just impossible. They put a iron pin in, as indicated, so we recommend that you accept that waiver.
Where is this one located, Paul?
Pete, is that the one right in the front, right? Yeah, right, kinda like above the D in Road, where it says Whites Grove Road.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, right there.
Rebar set, Okay. that area.
Yeah.
There is a monument, it's just not gonna be a bound.
Right, yeah. Our regs say it granite bound in the front, so they asked for a waiver, just to clear it up.
Rebar with cap.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the waiver requesting that due to the large root mass and the bound being inaccessible, to use a rebar and cap set instead of the granite bound.
A
I'll
second.
second.
Second from Mr. Davies. It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous, 7-0. Now that we have the waiver granted, is there any other discussion on the lot line adjustment by the board?
Does lot 68 currently have a well?
No, it does not.
Okay, that's why it's not shown, okay.
Anything else from the board? I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve case, application for, approve case P16-010-LLA.
A second?
Would you like the condition that EOD is added to the legend?
Yes, please. EOD is added to the legend, just for clarification.
Would you like a note indicating the ditch line?
No, it's fine, if it's standard, I'm okay with that, thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous vote, 7-0. Congratulations.
That's it. Thank you.
So just add EOD to the legend.
On the legend page.
Symbols. I'd like to reseat Mr. Moran, and Buzz Davies goes into the alternate pen.
Where he behaves.
That 5 minutes of fame, Buzz. You notice he had to make a motion during that, so
Oh, I
he gets
didn't, I
named to
did
the
a
record.
second.
We still let you talk, just not vote. All right, we're gonna move into case P16009 SUB. This is an application from Joanne M. Marsh, trustee for Joanne M. Johnson, and some other trusts here. It's for the parent tract of map 70, lot 100, and that would be into 2 lots. Property is located on Mendel Road and identified as map 70, lot 100.
There's a waiver with this one as well.
Has this one been accepted previously?
Nope.
No.
So staff recommends we accept the application as complete.
Any conditions?
Not on the app, no, it will be on the plan, but not on the app, yep.
I guess we can hear from the applicant first and then move the voting to those. So, turn the floor over to the applicant or representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Peter Landry, Landry Surveying for the record. In attendance, Mr. and Mrs. Garino.
Hello.
And they are going to be building a home, hopefully on lot 100-B or 100-1. Now, so what you're looking at in this plan here is a somewhat unusual shaped lot, total about 7.8 acres, abuts on Pawtuckaway with Manel Road or driveway kind of going down through this, commonly used by all those in this area as their access to their land. I have to say, a lot of the heavy lifting on this particular project, I feel, has been completed. And what I mean by that specifically is, prior to my involvement, the Garinos went to the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and they were granted some relief, which paved the way for my involvement with the survey here. Specifically, the relief that they were granted, for the record, they were giving relief for this proposed law to have no 30K area, which is the 30K buildable area required in your zoning. They were also granted relief for no 50-foot setback, which is your building setback in this zone. And the third relief was
200-foot frontage.
Frontage.
The fact that the lot has no actual frontage on a public way. Okay, so with those three items having relief, I'll go into, as you're looking at the plan here, you'll notice that the proposed lot, the 5.6 acre lot we're proposing, actually doesn't touch the right-of-way, Medell Road. There's no part except for when you get down where it actually comes onto Mrs. Marsh's land, Mrs. Johnson's land. So what we've done is we've talked with the abutter Lyle, and I gave tonight a copy to Paul. They signed basically an agreement that the Lyles will engage in the proposed access and utility easement that we show on this plan, so that the Guarinos would be able to drive down Medell and then turn onto their easement and pull into go across a small section of the Lyle property to gain access to their building site. We placed it in that area for not only the driveway, but for the utility pole. Public service will come by at a later date, and they'll need an easement also, which they'll have in hand, permission from the Lyles to allow public service to put the pole in to get some utilities into this site. So, there is very poorly drained on the site, delineated by a wetland scientist, and where the setback is of 75 oversees the 50, we've shown the 75-foot setback from very poorly drained. We know that we need to get state subdivision approval on Joanne's lot down on the water, because that lot is under 5 acres. We have not applied for that, and we anticipate no problem with that, acquiring that approval from the state. Other than that, that is pretty much all I've got to say on this project.
Now, I'm sure there'll be questions. Let's first make sure we get the application accepted, and then we will open it up for questions in public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept case P16009 sub.
So motion and a second. Any discussion on the acceptance? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? 7-0 unanimous. So we go into the approval phase here. And before we turn it over to a public hearing, I just like to see if there's any questions from the board. I guess I have one. Mr. Landry, if you could just maybe step through how these parcels are laid out. Just seeing it here for kind of the first time at a very small scale. So there's maps 70 lot, there's 100B and 100A.
No.
Just 100.
Now, right now, let me see if I could help you with, I'm gonna try to hold this up. If you were to take where it narrows down, this neck that's labeled, I may not read it on your small print, but it's about 54 feet, 5398. That's a new lot line. That's the line we created to divide the two. The shape of this lot starts at the lake and runs to the town line. That's one lot right now, and that is lot 100, like this.
Okay. So
Then we're creating the extension of this existing line to make the two parcels.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
Mr. Chairman, there are larger versions in your file. If you want to look at
I just like to hear the applicant talk.
Can you blame him?
So Peter, this is the new lot line right here. This part right here.
It's the short one.
The short one, it's 53 feet. Is it right?
Okay, thank you.
As was pointed out, I do have large plans if anyone would like to see them larger. Mr. Davies?
On the ZBA adjustments,
Yes.
did they refer to both the existing property and the proposed property?
Do they refer, who's they?
The,
The applicant, I'm quite
no,
sure
no, the
they.
ZBA, what the zoning board allowed, is that, does it, in other words, if they said you don't have to have a building envelope, were they
Yes.
referring to both pieces, or were they referring to the piece that has an existing building on it?
Well, Buzz, I don't know, I wasn't there.
It would only be for the whole parcel, because it hasn't been subdivided. So if they went in for zoning relief, it would mean for the whole parcel.
That was my understanding, but again, I wasn't at that meeting, and it's not clear.
But once you subdivide it, then it's not the same parcel anymore.
Well, we haven't,
The zoning, so the relief, in my understanding, would go with both properties. Once, because the relief stands throughout, throughout the lot. And that would be for the length of time, or perpetuity, really.
and on the bottom, I don't know if you have a copy of the notice, Buzz, notice of decision? I may have given it to you, it talks about the properties identified as map 70, lot 100, which is the entire property. So,
Well, I guess appropriate to ask the applicant, it was at the ZBA hearing, was it discussed at that point about subdividing the lot?
That it was our intention.
Yeah, that's
That
what
was our
we came in
intention.
for. Yeah, they made it known that was their intention, and the ZBA looked at it as Pete, and they testified that it was one lot labeled lot 100. They waived, yep.
I don't know if that helps, Buzz. When granting the waiver, it appears that the ZBA was aware that it was going to be subdivided. I mean, whether it's in that minutes or not, that says it was intended for both lots to have that.
So I do have a question regarding the ZBA decision as well, because the way, I'm not seeing that decision, so I'm just wondering what I'm.
The file should be there, yeah.
So what I've heard though is no 30,000 square foot area, but, and no 50-foot setbacks, but were there setbacks or buildable area specified?
and that's a great question, again, not being there, I don't have that firsthand. I looked through the minutes myself, I had that same question, and I wasn't able to find where it said, you know, we'll allow you 29,000 square feet, because you're just a little under 30. So, the best I could figure is 0, is what they got, because it's not mentioned. Obviously, when you look at the plan, and I didn't put how much buildable area there is, but there is buildable area. But I wasn't certain, like, the same thing with the frontage, we have the 0 frontage, and again, when it came down to the setback, which, again, it wasn't crystal clear, I gotta be honest with you, I looked through the minutes, I tried to figure that out myself, they got a 50-foot waiver, or variance, to what? And I was told by the applicants who were there that it was a 20-foot. Now, it made some sense because a lot of the you know, your non-conforming small lots have the 20-foot setback. But again, I was at the position that I was probably gonna say that was a 0-foot setback. We've shown a 20-foot, if nothing else for the septic. But as for building, it's still not clear to me, and we're not showing it at 50 feet anyway, or we're showing it more than 50 anyway, so.
Let me just chime in, because there might be some answers here. So within the zoning minutes or notice of decision, it does indicate that the proposed use of the property is to subdivide and add a single-family home. So that's documented in that decision. And then also in the application, this is a letter from Mr. Colby, there is a special expectation that a recommendation that the setback line be granted be no more than 20 feet from any lot. So,
No more?
that's what it says.
Should be no less. Isn't that odd?
That's what the zoning board had me put, so, yeah.
No more than 20
It should be
feet from
no
any
less
lot
than.
line.
It should be no less.
Right. That's what they had me.
Now we need a variance to put the house
I would
in.
agree that based on the language of the zoning, it specifically states in there that at no time shall they grant
Right,
a waiver.
Anything less than 20
Anything less
feet.
than 20 feet,
Yeah.
so
So-
the way the
Okay.
variance was granted, it said to relief from the 50-foot setback, so that generally would mean that they can go up to 20 feet,
Right, that's how I interpret it.
Okay.
which, and then Mr. Landry showed that line.
Okay. So the special exception is 20 feet, to 20 feet. Put it exactly at 20 feet, no more, no less.
And then going back to Buzz's question, you know, normally, we have to make sure that we're not creating any other lots that are, non-conforming, or, so that's why I think you, the question about
The lot is a
Parent.
5-acre lot that they're making.
Yep.
So the total parcel was 7.5 acres.
Correct.
From my recollection, it's the back part of that lot is poorly drained, it's wet. You know, where it's showing right on here, well, you know, it's,
Long line.
yeah, if you looked on one of the map, it says, you know, no typo shown, seen waiver requests.
Yep.
For that back, cause it's all wet, it's not buildable.
Yep,
So the area that they had is what we're looking at for buildable. So those were the hardships that they were going in front of the ZBA for.
Correct.
Is because in order to make this lot buildable, they needed those exceptions, and this is how they got to those exceptions. It's nothing to do with the front part on Tuckaway Lake, cause that's being to a different, that's a whole nother lot now. It's all based on the back lot.
correct.
And it's because of the hardship of where it sits, and because of the wetlands that sit behind it, in order to protect them, the reason why they're asking for the exceptions.
Yeah, I understand that,
Teresa, were
but
you
usually
at
on
the
the,
ZBA?
usually,
I believe my mother was at the
even
same
with the,
meeting.
with the parent parcel, we still require that the parent parcel meet current zoning.
But yeah, it's a 2-acre lot. So I don't see where.
Well, then the 30,000 square foot area, all that comes into
But
play.
the house is
See,
already
that was all waived for the lot
That's what
100.
That's,
So,
but I'm just saying,
waived for
is
everything.
that what you were
Right.
questioning on the?
Right,
Right,
but after the reading of the
okay.
zoning board minutes, then, or Paul's interpretation of them, then I understand now.
Teresa, you were at the meeting, is that
Yes, I was,
pretty,
yes,
does that jive with what?
from what I can remember of it. It was a bit ago.
And this follows the regular, procedure for allowing a subdivision on a non-class 5 road or better, right? That's not, that's the ZBA that can do that, it's
Yeah.
not,
Yep,
okay.
they've done it multiple times. Yep.
Any other questions, comments?
I just want to make a comment that I'm relieved that the ZBA gave them relief for the setbacks, because that would mean lesser impact on the wetland, the very poorly drained and the poorly drained, and runoff into Pawtuckaway Lake is a very big deal in Nottingham to keep the lake pristine and.
I guess I wonder, and it's more of a question, why not put the driveway off of the road where that small strip is, so that you don't have to access it over somebody else's land? Yeah, I understand probably would be another pole that would have to be put in, or you actually, I mean, why put the driveway off?
Yeah, that's a good question.
They would have had to go for another zoning, because our zoning ordinance says every lot has to have their own curb cut.
That would
So
be-
to come in off of the parent lot, I know what you're talking, Charlene,
That strip
it would
right
require
here.
them, yeah, they would require them to go to zoning to waive the, requirement of each lot having its own curb
I
cut.
think from a property standpoint, long-term, that would be cleaner, so you don't get into it.
Well, we looked at that also, and we looked at that might being a little bit more extensive tree cutting also, and somewhat infringing on the Wallaces. We did certainly think of that. You know, certainly with the idea that usually a neighbor, you know, we didn't anticipate the Lyles cooperating, so to speak, at least I didn't, because, you know, we're asking for permission to go through their land. If they'd have said no, we would have probably had that going up there as a last resort, but not as a first resort. Planning purpose, I mean, it makes a lot more sense to have it where we have it. It's a lot shorter, I mean,
Yeah,
really.
it's a shorter distance.
It's a shorter distance for the Lyles, you know, they're somewhat impacted, they're impacted by this right-of-way anyway. So there's one little small spur off and the power. we gotta get power to the lot somehow, so if you look down at bringing up through that neck there, you either gotta go a couple 100 feet away and bring your power up through, or you're back asking the Lyles for permission to get an easement for the power.
What if you put the driveway where the pathway is? You still get the, you'd still have to get the power easement, but,
Well, wait a minute, I thought we were talking about putting the driveway in the neck.
well, yeah, that's. what-
Okay, but now you're saying the pathway.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, that's like, no, that wouldn't be any different than what we're showing here, in my opinion.
Can I ask
But
you one
we did
question?
consider that.
Can I ask you one question too? From this point here to where the road is, the 238 feet
Yes.
74, is that the distance from that point to the road?
Yeah, it's too, but it's.
Right, so if you took 54 feet, 238, they might lose their 2 acres.
Well, again, you'd have, we have, that's a good point, John. They would end up having to put an easement on the marsh property to come up through there, and it just not, and then you'd end up with a hairpin turn. Think about driving home at night, you know, and going up and then having to turn back and go back the way you just drove by. It just seems like a lot cleaner and less impact to the Wallaces.
It seems like also based on the note above that, about that there's a unknown 15-foot right of way somewhere.
Oh, well,
That this keeps that out of that, because that's on the.
That refers more to, it is a little unclear in the deeds, Ed, but what that actually ultimately ends up is a right-of-way from this Wallace property to Pawtuckaway Lake.
Right.
So and we think they come down the Lyle driveway, and then we think they take a left and go down the pathway to the beach area that's shown.
It literally, if you walk that right there, there's actually a chain link fence that'll run right up by the Lyle's property line and that first property line, where there's a path through the woods and it's nicely ferned on one side and you've got a nice fence on the other side, and it's literally probably about a 4-foot wide path that walks you down to the small beach area they have, and that is for the lot of the Wallaces.
That note is on there because the wording in the deed is not conclusive, and that's the only reason why.
By staying away from that 50-foot section, you stay away from having to really clarify that for this.
Well, it
100B.
It seems from the discussion that, you know, the location and all this seems to be, you know, reasonable and well thought out, so.
Thank you.
I think we can move on from that. Any other comments or questions? I'd like to open this up for a public hearing. So any people in the audience have anything to say for or against this application? Just ask you to rise and come forward, and can be for it, could be against it. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. Mr. Colby, you had mentioned that there was a couple of items.
Couple of,
Your review?
the first one we'll discuss is they have requested a waiver for lot, well, it's labeled 100-B, it'll actually be changed to 100-1. But they've asked for a waiver to show not show the contours from basically the wetland area to the town line. It's really inaccessible. Well, the way it's so dry, you might be able to cross it now, but so, and we support the waiver. You know, we've done that with other lots. You know, so it's your decision on the waiver. The other minor things are, that we recommend conditional approval is, the wetland scientist stamp, change the lot number, state subdivision approval, and, monument certification, the normal conditions that we set. So my recommendation is vote on the waiver to waive the topo for the back part of the land. And he actually has a note on it. Is it a note or is it in the waiver? Request a waiver. No development proposed at this time in the area of the waiver request. That's in the waiver. If at any such time that they would come in and develop that, then we'd require them to show full topo.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion for the waiver from Article 8.3, Section 6.
Chairman, I move to approve a waiver for case P 16009-SUV.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Unanimous, 7-0. And we can move into the approval phase. We have closed the public hearing, there isn't anyone speaking about that. Any further discussion from the board?
The only question, that pathway that's shown, there's no easement for that, right? It's not like.
Nothing written down that I could find, no.
That's it for me.
Seeing no other comments, I'd ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept or approve case P16009, sub with the conditions of adding the wetland scientist stamp, change the state subdivision number, change lot numbers from 100B to 100-1,
In the monument certification.
and the monument certifications.
There's a motion.
Second?
Motion and a second by Mr. Anderson. Any other discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved, 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
This one will be a continuation, the next one, we've already accepted the application, so this is a continuation of the hearing from last meeting.
Okay. That's already been accepted.
The application had been, yep.
So the next public hearing is case P16008 SIT, application from the Robinsons, the Olive Ward Preschool, to add an additional building in the back of the lot to accommodate kindergarten and school-aged children. Tax map 29, lot 11. It's stage, or 249 Stage Road. The applicant's here.
So this is reopening the hearing, right?
Correct. Yes, so this is a actual continuation from a previous public hearing. This application has already been accepted, and we are in the discussion or approval stage, and someone may need to prompt me on why it was continued, but I think there were some details that were requested on a plan to be added, and it looks like we've received a plan that's got some detail on it.
Cheryl and George Robinson. We live at 16 Kingfisher Road in Nottingham, and we're in regards to all the board at 249 Stage Road. We are still asking for the addition, approval for the addition, and have submitted the site plan as requested, so we're just open to questions at this point as to if everything has been met that you're looking for.
Okay, and ask Mr. Colby, since he's had a little bit of opportunity to review this, to give us a little bit of a summary of your review.
Yep, I mean, some of the things that were brought up at the first meeting was to show setbacks for the improvements to the property. They have been shown on the plan. They've shown the fence line. They've shown the, based on our ordinance, there are 12 required parking spaces. Based on ADA requirements, anything from 1 to 25 requires 2 handicap spaces, so he's actually, I believe he drew it in, mine's penciled on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you actually, well, they'll have 13 parking spaces, 2 dedicated for handicap. When I reviewed it with the designer, we, well, Pete's stamp wasn't on it yesterday, but the surveyor's
You
stamp
want
on
this
it.
updated plan?
Yeah, you've got it, just so I can compare it to mine. Right. We asked them to put, where the proposed handicap ramp is, we asked them to put some type of bollards, or, as you see in note 6, some type of guardrail, just a protection of the handicap ramp, that's actually required under the ADA codes. He's put notes on here, he's shown well, he's shown the new septic, he's shown the existing approximate location of the septic, it's really not known. He's shown the location of the well radius setbacks, protection areas. He's shown there's a well radius easement for the property next door. The copy of that easement's in the file. And it is, he has shown, indicated that it is in the aquifer overlay district. So the discussion there is, our ordinance says you can only cover the lot 10%. Prior to any improvements, the lot is already pre-existing at 35%. This new design actually reduces that to, I'm trying to find it real quickly. He reduced it by 505 square feet to reclaim impervious surface, impervious area. They have obtained, correct me if I'm wrong, George, the easement to run the power line from the school lot.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I mean, that's pretty much, she's shown the turning radiuses of the parking drop-off and pickup area, if you wanna call it that. And, on the hand-drawn sketch originally, if you'll notice out on the route, on the 152, the stage road side, there's a no parking sign. That was actually installed in 2000, just now?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be installed in your initial site plan approval.
Was?
Yeah,
Oh, well, we
yeah.
did it.
But it's there now
on the
anyways,
request
because I
of
confirmed it
Chief
today when I
Fox.
drove by, yeah. So I think that's, you guys were here too. I think that catches us up to speed on what,
And there was discussion of the well.
yeah, actually, I talked with Tom from the well water, from DES. His question to me was, that he actually called me first, was, do they have town approval yet? I says it's pending, they're in front of the board currently. Depending on how the new plans come in, they could get at least conditional approval. You know, I gave them today's date. Their big requirement, and the Robertsons testified at the last meeting, they were required to raise the wellhead above grade, because it was below grade. And that's already taken care of, and so DES is fine with the water. Even though we haven't given an official approval yet, it's a formality for them. They're in front of us, so they know things will get worked out for the approval.
Right, so that's been taken care of.
Yep.
Thank you guys for the detailed plan. Makes it a lot easier to look
Yeah.
at.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I'd like to bring it to the board and see if there's any comments. You feel that the items from last meeting have been resolved. Hopefully more newer ones didn't come up, but if there are, let's talk about them.
Where is the existing septic for the existing house?
Because if you look at the existing house, see where it says sandbox?
Yep.
With roof, and it says right above that, approximate reported septic system location, and kind of shows in that area.
Okay,
Mr. Chase, the original owner, put it in, who knows, we couldn't find any records in when it was in. We looked from DES all the way down, so.
Yeah, before
It was
approval.
pre-68, I can guarantee that.
But the expanded use is being proposed for the separate building, which would have its, being served by its own.
Correct.
Yeah, and actually, that area is designed, if you look at where it says proposed EDA, you know, you see it's like a two-part.
Yep.
Just the smaller part will take care of the new building, and the septic designer has put the reserve area. If for some reason the existing house should fail, he's designed it so we could add to that existing system.
But we're not worried, we don't have to worry or concern ourselves about additional load on that. Possibly a substandard septic system, because it's gonna have.
Right,
The area is
it's gonna
gonna
have,
increase,
yeah, it's gonna have
has its
a
own.
remedy built in. Yep.
And I do see that the frontage was clarified where there was kind of unclear on the original, and so it does match the deed, 130 feet.
I think the power's coming in
And,
here.
you know, the original position of the dumpster,
Oh, yeah.
if you look, has actually been moved to the back of the parking area. It's just so they can gain 2 parking spaces. and for plowing and whatnot. It was just more convenient to move it back there.
And then, next to the, back to the original area, next to the lot, where the parking spaces 1, 2, 3 are, there's an area just next to number 3, it says LS doing, what's the LS, stand for? Anybody know?
It's garden area. I can
That's,
say.
it's landscape, landscape.
Landscaping, it's garden.
I know there was, part of the reason we wanted these plans was because there was concern about where the slab was, or in the building was gonna be compared to the side lot line, and this shows that it is beyond the 20-foot, the 20-foot setback. Just to review.
And this will have a full fenced-in area beside it.
That's the proposed future, it won't be immediate. These, by state regulations for childcare, they can still use my existing playground, so they can go into that, what is now fenced in. They will not be out there without a fence.
When they expand their playground out beyond the proposed septic area, yeah, that'll get fenced in at that time. Yeah, that's gonna be a requirement of the state, yeah.
Paul, have you been able to go out yet and look at the site? Cause look at the slab and the modular house is already there, the modular building.
Yeah, I went out and looked, and the, the modular building is,
The 20-foot setback looks real.
yep. I mean, the modular, I didn't measure the setback because it's not attached to anything yet, it's just parked there, but the slab does, actually match perfectly with what the plan is.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
Yeah, the only other thing I'd spoke about at the last one was just that DES well approval, which is beyond our purview.
Yeah.
It was more just to give a heads up to the applicant in case they, it's something that they ran into. I didn't want them going through this expense and then find out, DES was gonna give them a hard time with that, so.
So do we have conditions kind of
The only,
set there?
the condition, my recommendations for conditions of approval are 2. 1, state septic approval for the new building, and monument. No, actually, the monuments are all set.
Monuments are there.
They're already there, so that would be the only one.
What about the easement from the school?
Oh, yeah, a copy of the easement from the school. Yeah, you're right, Charlene, I'm sorry.
One other question, should we also have a note added that the additional building will not be used for dwelling purposes in the future? That it's just,
It's not even set up for dwelling purposes. I mean, there's no way, yeah.
It's just 2 big rooms.
It may be good to just add that.
Wouldn't that require a change of use?
It would, great, they'd have to go to zoning.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
we're approving an additional classroom modular building. If it becomes residential, they'll have to come in for a change of use. When we say it can't be something, then there's a whole bunch of other things that it can't be either. So what we wanna do is say what it is. In my opinion.
I agree.
Okay?
Could you please repeat, Paul, what you were saying, that it needs to be conditional approval based on what?
State septic approval,
Okay.
state septic system approval, and a copy of the signed easement, with this, I'll say, school board.
Is that for the utilities?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the proposed, utility, yeah.
Is that only if we decide to go that way? What if I decide to go a different way with my electric? You
Yeah,
don't
if,
need
and
that?
then it's, yeah, it's, if you come across from the
Yeah.
road in, then,
We're
yeah,
still
that's
we're
good.
still working with Eversource, so.
Right, yeah,
If I have a different.
yeah, yeah, we would only need that if you actually do have them put
It's
that line
already
in
been
from the
approved
school.
and it's in the works,
Right.
I just.
Yeah,
So that would be if utility is used from school?
From school. I'll give you a copy of the easement.
Was that a motion?
this is the only other thing, sorry, it was any lighting that's on here, just has to conform with our lighting ordinance. But those may be already in existence.
right, yeah.
I don't have any.
There's a couple of lights shown, but they're on the, in the kind of like
In the parking lot
the play
area.
area.
Right, yeah.
Parking lot area.
It's just.
No, in
parking
the
lot
play
lots.
area, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
next to the fruit trees and underground utility.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the site plan for case P16008 with the conditional approval for state septic and a copy of the signed easement from the school board if utility is used from the school.
There's a motion?
I'll second that.
Second from Mr. Moran. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say aye.
I abstain.
So it would be 601. Motion, and that's, approval's granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have the big map. Do you want a little map for your own records? There's 4 of these.
Now we are looking, we're going to
Want one
vote
for your
to
own
adopt
records?
the site plan regulations. All right, Joanna?
Those are extras.
Okay.
Yep. So you have to open a public hearing, like,
Oh, this is the public hearing?
exactly, public hearing for acceptance, so, yeah.
Okay, so this evening we are holding a public hearing for this new site plan, revised site plan regulations for the planning board, town of Nottingham. Anyone here who would like to speak to, for, or have any comments about the site plan regulations? And I say that a bit facetiously because there's nobody in the audience. So that means all public is in favor of all of the items.
And since this has been put to the public, we've, had this posted, we had one citizen come in, and that was this afternoon, to ask one simple question. And I answered it, and he was like, I don't need to come, I'm happy. He just wanted to make sure, the question was, do the definitions meet, like we've been trying to do, it was Skip. To make sure
Oh, yeah.
our things meet in line what we've been trying to do for the last couple of years. So he says, nope, I don't need to go. So, since the last copy, if I may, oh, you want, yeah,
I'm
close.
gonna close the public hearing.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll close the public hearing, seeing no public is in attendance, that wants to speak about this.
Since the last, one that was given to you, but either by email or print, we've made a few minor changes. Ed pointed out a couple things. And one of them I had caught, one of them Charlene caught at the same time. That section, Ed, that last one was purposely left off. So we adjusted that. Most of the, Ed had a couple other spelling, grammatical type things. I found a few more. And then Charlene and I sat yesterday and just thinking about where Nottingham may be going in the future. We wanted to make sure there was adequate protection for all our resources, including water. So we put in a few, and they're really very minor changes. In the article, on page 7, originally Charlene and I had talked to take out the word prosperity after the word welfare.
Where are you?
On page 7, article 2A,
Okay.
we actually added the word prosperity back in. The next one, again, on the same page.
What page is that, please?
Page
7.
7, I'm sorry, yeah. So Article 2, letter A, it used to read, danger to, the original was danger or injury to health, safety, welfare, or prosperity by reason of. Originally, we took prosperity out, we put it back in. Article 2, we added a 5th bullet under A. It just used to be 1, 2, 3. And Charlene's recommendation, and I
Used to be
agree.
4.
Huh?
It used to be 4.
It used to be 4, I'm sorry, yeah. And the 5th one is potential negative environmental influence or impact within our outlining within and outlining development. What we're looking for here, and Charlene, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when we talked yesterday afternoon, we were looking at not only do we want to look at how it affects the property in front of us that's being developed, but how is this going to affect a zone of influence around it? Right, how is this gonna be maybe a regional impact? So we wanna look at that right from the beginning.
Can you read that again, Paul,
Yep.
please?
Potential negative environmental influence or impact within and outlining the development.
It's
So
in the copy that you
So it is
have
Yeah,
in
you
front of
have
you.
that.
Oh, the
you
new
have-
one?
Yeah, the copy I
Okay.
handed out tonight, it's all in there.
Okay.
All these changes
look
are
at
in the
mine.
copies I handed out tonight.
So what does that technically mean?
So what,
If somebody's putting a development in,
yeah,
and, you know, it's a large development, and there's a lot of conservation land around it, or could be possible
well,
conservation.
remember, this is a subdivision, this is for commercial and business development.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, right, all right. The next one on page 8, under G, there was an H, actually, it didn't fit for site plan, it was more subdivision. And after the last word health, we still had an and.
Yep.
So Ed and Charlene both grabbed that. Page 8, again, Article 3, we added in the use, and commercial use after development. So it'll read, the Nottingham Site Plan Review Regulations, hereafter referred to as these regulations, shall govern all commercial/business development and commercial use of land. We added in the phrase commercial use. Again, on Article,
3.
yeah, Article 3. And then we'll go to page 26. Actually, didn't we do one before that, Charlene? That I wasn't on your list, because you and I changed it in the office. Actually, if you want to go back to page 7, I'm sorry. Charlene emailed me this last night after we talked. Under Article 2A, number 2, it originally read inadequate protection for the quality of groundwater. We added and/or quantity of water. And then we also added that same phrase on page 26, 9.7, subsection 4. Added the word quantity.
Page 26?
Yes, ma'am. Charlene and I talked, and I agree with her. Not only do we need to look at the quality of water, but the quantity of how a development could affect the quantity of our aquifers and underlying water. Page 31, real quick. In page 32, under subsection C and D, we added in or natural resources, so it read disturbed. Originally it read disturbed environmentally sensitive areas and disturbed critical areas, and we put in or natural resources to just expand that out. And that's page 31 and 32.
Okay, thank you.
10.2, number 2, C and D, and 10.3. And then the number 1, C and D. And that is the changes from your last view. Like I said, we heard from one citizen today. Our recommendation is, unless you guys have other things, we should approve this tonight. We do have a signature sheet for you prepared. And if you vote to approve it tonight, it will become effect as of today's date.
Isn't it in effect anyway right now?
No, because it's not a zoning change. Only zoning changes are effect once we
Okay.
publicly post them. So it'll come effect as of today's date.
I got 2 grammatical fixes that
Yeah.
I didn't tell anybody about ahead of time because I figured for sure that somebody would catch it. On Article 1 says, in parentheses, henceforth, know as, it should be known as, the board.
Where are you? Article 1, authority,
Yep.
henceforth known as, okay, yep.
And on the next page, under Article 4, 4.1, the board may seek information or requirement in addition to the above these regulations. I don't think we need the word these in there.
Well, actually,
Because we called it as these regulations.
we actually refer to it as these regulations instead of writing out sub,
Okay,
yeah.
that's it.
Okay, good, so that's a minor change, that will get done tonight, and unless there's other changes?
I have some.
Yep,
As you're going through and looking at articles, sometimes I have a thin dash, sometimes I have a short stubby bold dash, and sometimes they don't have any dash. As in, say, Article 13, page 46, down at the bottom, Article 13 has a short bold dash. Most of the time, it's a longer thin dash. It's such a minor thing. I have quite a few of them. I can just hand them over to Joanna or to you.
See what you're saying?
And then I had a couple of other ones that were not
With the dashes.
involved. Let's see what happens to page 91. Bunker Hill does not have a dash in it. Remember that one.
where are you?
Mucker Hill?
Bunker Hill.
Bunker Hill?
Here. Where are we here? It's now page, there's no page number here.
Do you
Is it
have
on
it
the
mocked up that you can give to them?
Is it in the street names?
That's where you.
It's page 92, but page 92 does not have page 92 on it.
Page 91.
War Heroes, Bunker Hill.
Sue, do you have them mocked up so that you can just?
I
hand
do.
it to them?
Future road names?
Is it just grammatical things like that you're looking at?
Except that there was, Bunker Hill does not have dashes in it, and there's two
Okay,
things.
I mean, what I'm saying is if it's just grammatical things,
Right.
Yeah,
just ship them and we'll just,
and I
okay.
can give you my copy.
So
I
would-
mean,
I
the
would-
dash is between things. I don't know how to fix
know,
that.
I
It's just one, it's one key on the computer.
But there's some that even missing. So they have long dashes, short dashes, or missing dashes.
Well,
But I'll give you my copy.
I don't know how to fix the long and short because it's the same key on the computer.
The long and short occurs if you put a, say you put a number, and then you put a space, and then a dash, and then you space again, it increases the length of the hyphen.
Go back to school, Paul.
But if you put the number,
Old to go back to
and
school.
don't hit a space,
I
but
didn't
a
know
dash,
that. Is this short dash?
it'll leave it, 'cause I do
Yeah, it
it.
does look like the short dash has no space.
So I think that's how it occurs, but I don't know
There's a
why.
couple that are missing though.
So I would entertain a motion, other than grammatical and format issues, to approve the site plan review regulations.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the site plan review regulations and adopt it as amended at this date.
Is a motion?
Second?
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous.
So we will, before you leave,
So I
please
have
sign
a
the
sheet- I have
signature
a
sheet.
sheet right here.
Okay, yeah, you have Dirk.
We'll sign, and I
Yeah.
ask that anybody has any grammatical formatting, you just get them to Joanna, and she will format this up really nice, all the right stuff.
Yes, please get it to her because I will not be here next week.
Thank you for, Paul did all the heavy lifting on this one.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have to do a subcommittee
Not a big deal.
or anything.
Yes.
So, and
Thank you very much.
it's nice to have 3 documents that all align now. It's,
Well, we've got a few things still to tweak in the zoning,
That's
some of
pretty-
the definitions, but that's.
yeah.
Well, and this,
But it's
you know, this
probably
is
the first time in a
significant
long
effort,
time.
because, you know, the last time this was done was nearly 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I asked somebody, why didn't they update it? And their interpretation was, well, the planning board really has nothing to do with this, it's all zoning. And we'll just leave it at that.
Only thing I have for maybe when we do the definitions, setback, I wonder if we have setback and then we have setback line. But setback is specifically defined as the distance between the street right-of-way lines and the front line of the building. which is probably not the best definition in the world.
What we
But
just-
setback line is a better one, so
Put it in that folder.
that's not for this, but
Which we should, we
It's
should
due
talk
list.
about at some point. Joanna sent some of the things that we had kind of on our to-do list.
Yeah.
That we should put on the agenda for the next, she sent us, I think it was before last meeting, she sent us. We should review that this next meeting,
Agreed.
if we can put that on the agenda.
Right, the ZBA wants to know when we can meet, do it one meeting.
Well, let's see what we have next on our agenda tonight.
There's minutes.
No, we have, the Board of Selectmen.
What about public
Update.
comment?
Public comment.
I think you can waive that, Mr. Chairman.
We're giving it, a trial period still, so we'll, any public that would like to come down, there is a section in our agenda specifically for you. So please come down if you have a comment, question, we'd love to hear from you. This would be the time for that.
Ed stretched that out for 15 minutes last week.
I didn't know if he was gonna run in.
He kept looking at the door.
Someone was probably watching at home and was like, oh, now's my chance, and they were driving down here and just trying to give him time.
Oh, dear.
So let's move on to the Board of Selectmen update.
So we're still working on policies and procedures. We just, finished up the winter road maintenance one, which was, a needed, update, to cover some liability that we could have had. So we continue to work on additional ones. We've, let's see, Marston project, the survey is done, and now we're just waiting for the revised plan on Marston. The engineering services for that is free, so that is gonna take a while. And I think that's it.
Anything on the recent, storm event? Weather did okay?
Weather did okay, yeah.
Power's back for most of us. Hopefully all of us. I'd go around the room. Buzz, do you have anything? Teresa? Don?
Nope.
You're passed. You're done.
The only thing I have is, thing I sent to you, to Paul, about, was the Southern New Hampshire Planning. Has that community.
Because we go with Stratford Regional Planning, we're not following that, we don't qualify to be part of that group, so.
All it was is that, there's certain communities that have adopted or joined this program where they try to get sites pre-approved in a way for certain development, so commercial sites specifically, to try to make the development of them a little bit easier, to try to bring in, commercial business, so.
I don't have anything. Actually, Joanna, do I need to do anything with this one?
No, because we didn't get their plans.
Okay. I don't have anything. Sue?
Conservation Commission is looking forward to meeting with the planning board August 10th to discuss those things that we talked about 2 months ago. I wonder, Joanna, if you could just forward those minutes again to refresh everybody's memory as to
Oh,
what
they're
we talked
online,
about.
aren't they?
They should be, yeah.
Yeah.
August 10th,
Okay, never mind.
or not August 10th, but
August 10th, yeah.
August 10th is the meeting, the last, do you remember when we met with the Conservation Commission
I could look it up.
last time?
That would help.
While she's doing that, Gary, do you have anything?
Just that there are a couple of things on that list that I was not able to make the last, SRPC meeting. So I'm gonna contact those folks by phone, try to handle that way.
Paul?
For our next meeting, as just discussed, we have conservation coming in for a joint discussion. Charlene brought up, I had on my list the zoning, what we've just been talking about. We have 2 cases, continuations, the Flutter Street subdivision and the Guile Road subdivision. Update on the Guile Road is they have filed for, relief from the ZBA. So that one may get continued if we can't get the ZBA scheduled before that.
What were they filing for?
Relief from, Gary, it's your application, so. relief from the set,
For setbacks and
yeah,
buildable area.
okay, yep. And we don't have any other applications in front of us, right? Did I miss anything?
No, we have the, Cooper Hill possibly. but I
Yeah,
know it
we
hasn't
have,
been
property on Cooper Hill that abuts a neighboring town that, they were supposed to come in yesterday and talk to us, and we didn't see
Plan
them.
to be in by the third.
Smoke Street subdivision, we have, received state subdivision approval. We're just waiting for the Mylars, that's why we gave you that tonight, if the Mylars come in. They've met all their conditions. And I will be out of the office all next week, and besides that, we're just chugging along.
Do we have the new plan for Flutter?
No, we have nothing. Just real quick, just so you guys know, if you see a bunch of work, the Board of Selectmen approved the bids for re-roofing of the police station and the library. And, we signed a contract today with the contractor to do some, mediation work on the police station side because of ice buildup. Put some new entranceways, reconfigure entranceways. And that's it.
Going back to the bids, there was also a bid recently for solar, right? For
Yes.
here in the
Actually,
school.
we're requesting a, request for qualifications for solar power on town facilities, including the school. And I've had one contact that we're getting together the week I come back from vacation to look at things. I mean, Charlene can maybe enlighten, but I know we're gonna look at this building, we're gonna look at the library, we're gonna look at the public works garage, the school, and look at where and I don't know if it can be done or not, but at least we're gonna look at the, reclaimed landfill area.
Right, and then the school.
And the school, right, yeah.
And this roof was already redone first, right, in the phase, and then the police station?
This half of the roof was done about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, and the
We're
school,
doing
the
that
police
happened.
wasn't, yeah.
We did the gym roof last year.
Gym roof, yeah, so. Thank you. Minutes?
No, we've got minutes
Yeah.
to approve.
We have minutes to
Can't leave
approve.
yet.
Well, he was just wondering if Paul was done talking.
Oh, no, it
Red
looks
Sox
like he's
played
ready
this
to
afternoon,
exit.
they lost, so you don't have to go home and watch a game.
I'd rather pass them out if you guys want them, or is that?
No,
You emailed him.
I have the signature sheet also.
Any comments for the minutes that weren't circulated?
I have some, but first, Charlene,
Yes,
May 25th,
May 25th, all right, thanks.
may I?
Yes.
Line 15, where it says open space, it should be open space development in caps, because that's the ordinance. Let me see. Line 52, at the end of the line, place needs a D. Need only be placed. Line 55, stamp is capped, but wetland is not. Does that need to be capped? And what about line 57, where we had decimals rather than dashes? Does that stay as is? 57?
Oh, did we get?
Oh, no, yeah, it will,
Oh, for
was that the relumbering the lots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gotta be like we did tonight, from 100B to 100.
Right, but
was
what
a
should the
dash.
minutes reflect?
Minutes
We have
reflect
4-1A, and then we have decimal points, or we have,
Should be
okay.
4 dash, map, I think it's map 10.
I think the minutes
Lot
are-
4
the minutes
dash
are-
1 dash 1. It's in the condition of approval.
The minutes are right, because.
Right, that's
Okay,
what.
that's what,
it
that
was.
was my
Right.
That's
question.
what we said.
Line 69, the word "the" before town, so it reads, "Board that the town really needs provision." Line 69, add "the." Line 110, however, needs to be set off by commas.
Which line was that, Sue?
Line 110, school year, comma, however, comma. Line 137, is that supposed to be public meeting was closed rather than opened? Because we opened the public meeting back,
No, you open a public hearing back. It's just opening a public meeting for the site plan review update.
Gotcha. I read it too fast.
Sue, didn't you already look at all these?
No, I've been away.
You can't take the school teacher out of her, you just can't.
I just got back this afternoon, and I downloaded these. I didn't have internet access where I was. Okay, 138, should that be in bold? Site plan review update. 139, do you want to add meeting at the end of the line? That was it.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of July 13th, 2016 as amended.
I'll second that.
Motion second. No discussion. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? 7-0.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion second. Vote? 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.